The internet crowned Cardi be the unbothered queen. They turned Stefon Diggs into the laughingstock of 2026 before Valentine's Day even hit. Cute narrative. Clean. Simple, but real life? Real life doesn't wrap up that neatly. This story didn't end. It detonated. So let's rewind, because if you don't see how the dominoes fell, you'll miss the explosion that followed. And trust me, this one leaves smoke. February 8th, 2026. Super Bowl Sunday. Levi's Stadium vibrating with pressure and expectation. 11 seasons led Stefon Diggs to this moment. Cameras locked in. Legacy on the line. Redemption arc loading. Before kickoff, a reporter catches Cardi B on the sidelines. The question is harmless. Any message for Stefon before the big game? Now pause. This is Cardi B, the woman who screams love from rooftops. The woman who makes support look like fireworks, but instead, she looks dead into the lens. No smirk. No spark. No theatrics. And she says, good luck. Flat point 2 syllables that felt like a slammed door. Then she turns and walks away. No hand squeeze. No playful hype. Nothing, and in that split second, the internet felt it. Something had already cracked. Something ugly had happened off camera. Something no halftime show could distract from. Then came the scoreboard. Patriots lose. 29-13. And Stefon Diggs? Practically a ghost. No touchdowns. No heroic catches. No signature moment. On the biggest night of his career, he fades into the background like a supporting character in his own story. But that wasn't the real humiliation, because while he's unraveling on the field, chaos is unfolding in the stands. Kiki, his first child's mother, is front row, unapologetic, posting Instagram stories in his jersey like she's auditioning for main character energy. Flashing smiles. Tagging the location. Letting the world know she's there, and the timeline? That's where it gets sinister. Her baby was born in September. Cardi's child with Stefon arrived in November. 2 months apart. Two realities overlapping. So imagine Cardi be sitting there, watching her man collapse under stadium lights, while the mother of his other newborn is broadcasting from the same arena. And then, because apparently the universe wanted maximum chaos, another name surfaces. A woman from Stefon's past. Allegedly in the building. Allegedly wearing Patriots credentials. Allegedly moving a little too comfortably for someone who's just history. Now the visual is insane. Kiki, Cardi, all in the same stadium. Same night. Same man. That's not coincidence. That's combustion waiting for oxygen. But wait. It gets darker. Whispers start circulating that hours after the loss, Stefon may have slipped someone into his hotel. Not confirmed. Not proven. But the rumor alone was enough to pour gasoline on a burning house. Meanwhile, Cardi B leaves at halftime. Doesn't stay for the final whistle. Doesn't console him. Doesn't play supportive girlfriend for the cameras. She disappears, and here's the part that stings. Reports claim she had already dropped $1.2 million on a Super Bowl after party. Venue booked. Production locked. Guest list stacked. The party never happens. $1.2 million. Gone. By sunrise? They've unfollowed each other. By midday? Entertainment Tonight confirms the split, and Cardi? She doesn't spiral. She doesn't subtweet. She posts one word. Done. Cold. Controlled. Surgical. But here's where the plot twists again. Her Los Angeles tour stop, sold out arena, crowd screaming, rapper BIA takes a shot at Stefon online. And instead of ignoring it, Cardi stops mid-performance. Music cuts. Lights dim. She grabs the mic and says, just because I ain't effing with my baby daddy doesn't mean you get to talk about my baby daddy. Boom, breakup confirmed. Boundaries drawn. She defends him, not as a lover, but as the father of her child. On her terms. That's power. While Cardi B is thriving, arenas packed, confidence radiating, self-love posts hitting millions, Stefon Diggs is facing something much uglier. Questions about his performance. Questions about his judgment. Questions about legal issues quietly resurfacing. Endorsements looking shaky. Reputation bleeding out in real time. And then, because this saga refuses to be subtle, Offset starts trolling. Posting cryptic "I told y'all" energy. Liking shady comments. Stirring the pot without saying a name. The internet doesn't miss details. The world is watching a man's empire wobble while a woman rebuilds hers in heels. And if you think this is just celebrity gossip, know this feels like a public reckoning. Because sometimes the real Super Bowl isn't played on the field. It's played in silence. In pride. In ego. In who walks away first. And this time, it wasn't Stefon Diggs. The world wasn't just watching Stefon Diggs struggle. They were watching him unravel. Frame by frame. Meme by meme. Highlight by humiliating highlight. But here's where the story bends in a direction nobody saw coming. According to people inside Stefon's circle, not the PR team, not the publicists, but the ones who see him when the cameras are gone. Something shifted after the Super Bowl. And it wasn't cosmetic. It wasn't another carefully timed Instagram caption about growth. It wasn't that glossy, detached Rolling Stone energy pretending everything was under control. It was darker than that. They say he hit a wall. Hard. Because when you strip away the stadium lights, the endorsements, the relationship headlines, and the illusion of control, all in the same week, what you're left with is brutal silence. No cheers. No distractions. No narrative to hide behind. Just you and your decisions. That's when reality stops being theoretical. That's when ego has nowhere left to run. Sources claim Stefon Diggs began replaying everything like surveillance footage in his own mind. The chaos at the Super Bowl. The optics of multiple women in the same stadium. The whispers about who was where and why. The reported $1.20 to $2 million after party that evaporated because of choices he made. The promises he made about being different. About being ready. About not repeating history. And then proving, in the harshest way possible, that he hadn't changed at all. But the part that reportedly pierced the deepest. It wasn't the 29-13 loss. It wasn't the public jokes. It wasn't even the headlines questioning his legacy. It was watching Cardi be on tour, night after night. Sold out arenas. Lights glowing. Voice shaking with emotion, telling thousands of fans, don't let nobody take your happiness away from you. And insiders say he knew that message had his fingerprints on it. He watched her thrive without him. Watched her glow without compromise. Watched her transform heartbreak into power. And the realization hit like a second defeat. She wasn't waiting. She wasn't circling back. She wasn't hesitating. She was flourishing. That's what crushed him. Because somewhere in his mind, he believed time would soften her. That she'd miss the family unit. That she'd text first. That pride would fade, but week after week of silence from Cardi didn't feel like strategy. It felt final. And that's when the internal narrative shifts. During chaos, it's easy to blame. Easy to convince yourself she overreacted. Easy to lean into pride, but when the noise dies down, when the comments slow, when even your friends stop defending you, and you're alone with the wreckage of your own decisions, clarity becomes unavoidable. Now here's where it gets complicated. Sources suggest, and let's be clear, nothing has been officially confirmed, that Stefon Diggs allegedly made some form of public acknowledgement. What some are quietly calling an apology directed at Cardi B. But not the kind you're expecting, not a grand gesture, not a take me back. Not a desperate plea for reconciliation. Insiders say he understands that chapter is closed. Instead, this alleged acknowledgement was simpler, quieter, but heavier. An admission that he was wrong, that he disrespected her, that he broke promises, that he failed to protect what they were building, and reportedly, it addressed everything: the Super Bowl chaos, the overlapping baby mama tension, the optics, the mismanagement of their relationship, and the emotional fallout that followed. Predictably, the internet split into factions overnight. One side says it's too little, too late. Damage done. Period. Another side argues accountability is accountability, even if it arrives late and imperfect. Then there's the skeptics. The ones convinced this is calculated timing. Off-season image control. Reputation repair before training camp headlines resurface. And then, there are those who believe it's genuine remorse from a man who finally understands what he lost. Comment sections turned into battlegrounds. The real question echoing everywhere: why now? Why weeks later? Why not immediately? Why wait until the silence got loud? Sources claim it took that long for Stefon to actually process the collapse. That shock doesn't instantly turn into accountability. Sometimes it turns into denial first. And silence? Silence is easy. Saying nothing protects your ego. Avoids scrutiny. Keeps you from being dissected by millions trying to decide if your remorse sounds rehearsed. Silence is the safest move in celebrity culture. It's also the most common. That's what makes this alleged shift interesting. Because most athletes in Stefon's position would follow the standard recovery blueprint. Disappear into the off-season, post gym videos, attend a charity gala, drop a few inspirational quotes about resilience, and wait for the next scandal to bury the old one. That's the playbook. Almost everyone runs it. The fact that sources claim he may have chosen acknowledgement instead of avoidance? That's not small. But here's the truth that cuts through all of it. Whether the apology is strategic or sincere changes nothing for Cardi B. She already moved forward. She confirmed the split on her terms. She rebuilt publicly. She isn't looking back. For Stefon, though, even a flawed step toward accountability could be the first crack in a pattern that's been repeating for years. Because this story was never just about a Super Bowl. It was about character under pressure. You can lose a championship and train for another. You can lose a relationship and eventually heal. But if you never confront the version of yourself that caused the destruction, you'll keep rebuilding the same fire just to watch it burn again. Here's the real question. And don't play it safe in the comments. Do you believe Stefon Diggs' alleged apology was genuine growth, or just another calculated move before the next season begins? Silence protects pride. It builds a wall around your ego. It keeps millions of strangers from dissecting your tone, your posture, your pauses, trying to decide if your regret is authentic or rehearsed. But let's be honest, silence is also the safest escape hatch, and sometimes it's cowardice dressed up as composure. That's why this entire saga feels bigger than gossip. Because it exposes two completely different survival instincts after the exact same explosion. When everything shattered, Cardi B made a choice immediately. She didn't retreat. She didn't hide. She didn't issue a vague, respect my privacy statement. She stepped onto a stage, under lights, in front of thousands, and healed in real time. She turned pain into performance, humiliation into power, heartbreak into boundaries. Night after night on tour, she reclaimed her narrative publicly. And by the time the dust settled, she wasn't just okay, she was elevated. Sharper, louder, untouchable. Meanwhile, Stefon Diggs reportedly spiraled inward. Weeks of radio silence. Weeks of what insiders describe as rock bottom. No touchdowns to chase. No relationship to lean on. Just consequences echoing in an empty room. Same detonating moment. Point two, completely different responses. And that contrast says everything. Here's the uncomfortable truth about celebrity apologies. Most of them are choreographed. Carefully drafted statements. Focus grouped language. Every comma approved by management. Damage control disguised as vulnerability. The standard move? Disappear. Let the news cycle burn itself out. Let another scandal trend. Show up at a charity event. Post a gym video with a cryptic caption about growth. Wait for public memory to reset. That's the industry blueprint. Almost everyone follows it.so if sources are right, and again, nothing is officially stamped, and Stefon actually chose to acknowledge his role instead of ghosting into the off-season? That's a deviation from the script, and deviations matter. But here's where it gets brutally clear, whether his apology was raw or rehearsed, strategic or sincere. It doesn't shift a single thing for Cardi B. She already closed the door. She confirmed the split her way. She protected her peace. She built momentum without him. She isn't waiting for redemption arcs. For Stefon, though, this moment might be bigger than image repair. Even a late, imperfect step toward accountability could be the first interruption in a cycle that keeps repeating, because the real story isn't about forgiveness. It's about self-confrontation. You can lose a Super Bowl and train harder next season. You can lose a relationship and eventually fall in love again. But if you never confront the version of yourself that created the collapse, the ego, the impulsiveness, the need for validation, you'll keep rebuilding the same disaster under different lighting. That's the part people don't talk about. Growth isn't public. It's lonely. It's uncomfortable. It forces you to admit you were the common denominator. So now the question lingers heavier than any headline. Was Stefon Diggs' alleged apology a genuine crack in the armor? Or just a calculated move to stabilize his image before the off-season cameras turn back on? I want real opinions, not safe takes. And if you're new here, understand something. This isn't surface-level gossip. This is about power, ego, consequences, and what happens when the spotlight fades and you're left alone with who you really are.